Hey guys, happy Sunday and welcome to another segment of Wise Words from Wanda. And today I have a really important subject that I want to talk to you about, and I want to give you some takeaways, practical takeaways that will hopefully help you. My nephew used to say to me when he was younger and he would try to get me to see something, he would say, "Oh, Wanda, I'm trying to give you some good information." So today, that's what I want to do for you. I want to give you some good information. Now, I went yesterday to a financial conference, and what struck me about this conference, it was an investing slash management, money management conference. And what struck me about it was there were quite a few multi-generational groups there. Like there were dads who brought their sons, or there were granddads who brought their sons and their grandsons. Since a lot of these conferences tend to have many more males than females, so it's usually the dads that are dragging their sons along. And even the guy who was running the conference made a comment a few times about, families, showing up, and not just individuals, like the entire family showing up, especially the males in the family. And it got me thinking about how we have failed our children and our grandchildren when it comes to managing finances. So we can't look at the school systems, right, to teach our children about financial literacy. That's kind of been a conversation here recently in the last few years, that financial literacy should be something taught in schools, but it's not. And we can't wait for that to happen, because really the onus is on the parents to teach the children, for the generations, the older generations, to teach the next generation on how to manage finances. Why should our children and our grandchildren fall into the same holes when it comes to finances that we've fallen into? Why should they be in credit card debt and have the same spending habits that causes them to owe so much to so many, and to spend much more than they have and live above their means? Those are behaviors that are learned. And it's going to be our responsibility, it is our responsibility to change those behaviors, to teach the next generation, to teach our children and to teach our grandchildren how to do better when it comes to money. I can remember when my son was younger, one of the first things I did was, and I didn't know a lot about money management, finances. Trust me, I've had my issues when it comes to being in debt and money, not being able to manage money. But one of the first things I did was opened up a savings account for him when he was younger. So yes, he got a weekly or bi-weekly, can't even remember now, allowance, but that money went into a bank account. I drug him to the bank, showed him what it meant to open up an account. I wanted him to see the statement. I wanted him, even when I would reconcile my ledger for my checking account, I'd have him there with me. I wanted him to see what it meant to pay bills, and you start off with a certain amount, and then you're writing checks for A, B, C, and D, and knowing what I wanted him to understand, what the value of the dollar was, and not just throw money at him. So when I gave him money, he was the one who wanted to save it, because he enjoyed watching that money grow, watching those numbers increase in his bank account. It might have only been, $10 a week. I'm not even sure. I can't even remember how much I gave him. But I do know that I try to really instill in him the importance of managing his finances so that you don't look up and that you don't have anything. When he was about somewhere in his teens, we went on a trip, and we went to Canada, and I can remember exchanging American money for Canadian money. And at the time, the dollar was really strong, the Canadian money not so much. So we got all this money for the exchange, because of the exchange rate. And he was so excited because we had so much money. In his mind, we were going to do all these things. So what I decided to do was allow him to make the decisions on what we would do. This is how much money we have. We've got a week in Canada. You choose where we're going to eat, what excursions we're going to do, activities. I'll let you make the decision. And he realized through that experience just how quickly the money was spent. The lesson I believe that he gained from just that was much more than me trying to explain to him, well, we only have $1,000 and we have to do A, B, C, and D. Letting him be the one to shell out the money. The first few days, we were eating like kings and queens. We were doing all type of activities, having a good time. By the middle and especially towards the end of our trip, we were looking for McDonald's because he realized that, wow, we're running out of money. Yeah, money doesn't grow on trees and it doesn't last that long. You have to be careful about where you're spending it and how you're spending it. And I just think that we need to do more of that. I wish I had done more with him when he was younger, and surely I wish I would have had some of the knowledge growing up that I have today. I will say my dad did a lot of things wrong when I was coming up. But the one thing that he did that has served me well is what made us conscious of finances. Did he have some probably antiquated or behaviors surrounding finances that maybe did not serve us well? Sure, I think we all do. But I will tell you this, when other kids were getting toys and gifts or whatever, my dad was buying us stock certificates. He was buying us bonds. I can remember having, he never took me to Disney World, but I tell you what, he bought me stock in Disney. He bought me stock in McDonald's. He bought me stock in Coca-Cola. And so I didn't understand it at the time and didn't even, obviously the value of it did not register with me, until I got older. But how neat was it to have a certificate with my name on it, and over that certificate it says Exxon or IBM. I have stock today that he purchased for me years ago. So my takeaway, I think today, and the reason I jumped on here is as I looked around, first of all, the room at the conference, there wasn't a lot of people who looked like me, okay? It just wasn't. Thank God there are more and more women that are getting into investing, and that there are more people of color that are becoming more interested in investing. But I think so many people are just afraid of it. Because they don't know about it, you just kind of shy away from it. But I want to challenge you, the same way you would take your kid or yourself to any other type of gathering or meeting. Look, their investment conferences, free investment conferences, money management conferences, webinars all over the place. Step into one, sit down and listen, take your kids with you, learn about it, watch a YouTube, take a class, learn some very positive financial literacy behaviors that can not only help you, but then you can teach your children. So my suggestion would be to open up an account, a custodial account for your minor child or grandchild. Many of these accounts require no fees. It's such minimum amounts to even open the account, $25. And at least begin to have those conversations with your child early on, and have a statement come in once a month, even if you have to print the statement. Instead of throwing money at your children or just giving them money, kind of have them see what it looks like when you have $10 and you add another 10. Oh, all of a sudden you've got 20. And by all means, don't do it like I did and put it in just a regular Bank of America or Chase. When you know better, you do better. That 1% or less than 1% interest is not where it's at. There's so many other options now. You've got your high yield savings accounts that are out there. So many other ways where if the money's going to be there, at least let it accrue something worthwhile. Or even do like my dad did and purchase some stock certificates. What is it that your child might be interested in? And purchase a share of stock in that particular company and have the conversation around what a stock is. If you're not sure, then you do the research so that then you can take that knowledge and pass it on to your child. You got a kid who loves the Nike products. They always want the latest Nike. Why not buy them a share or two of Nike and let them feel kind of that pride that I own a piece of Nike. I own part of the company. This is going to be much more beneficial for them later on, have a much lasting effect than a pair of Nikes would, or whatever the company is, or whatever the product is that they, may like. There are so many ways now to invest, and the point of entry has been lowered. I mean, when I first started into stocks, you had to go through a brokerage and the fees were outrageous. Now it is so easy to do that everybody should own something, some kind of stock, some company, even if it's a few shares, get started, even with Bitcoin. I mean, the options are endless. Go to your credit union, your local credit union, and find out what it is that they offer. There's so many programs, and just start having that conversation and doing those little things that would have long-lasting benefits.